Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming today. Welcome to CASA Across the Commonwealth, a virtual town hall. My name is Kelly Light, and I chair the board of directors of the PA CASA Association. This event was designed to celebrate the extraordinary work of volunteers who provide best interest advocacy for abused and neglected children across our state. CASA volunteers are community members who were trained and then appointed by a judge to advocate on a one-to-one basis for a child who has been removed from home due to abuse, neglect, and/or abandonment. Their work is challenging, at times heartbreaking, but also rewarding and inspiring, and that's what makes a CASA volunteer so extraordinary. Today, we will lift up their fantastic work during this event and ask for more courageous individuals to step up and join them as part of the CASA movement. It is a privilege to open this event and be in such esteemed company. Not only will you be hearing from public officials and judges who understand the challenges in trying to intervene when children are abused and neglected, but you'll also be hearing from the volunteers themselves who help change the lives of children and their own lives as well. Please join us in achieving our vision for every abused and neglected child in Pennsylvania so that they can have access to a CASA volunteer's service and support. I am now very proud to introduce Jennifer DeBalco, Pennsylvania CASA's Executive Director. Jen has spent every day since she graduated from college working on behalf of abused and neglected children. Thank you, Jen, for your unwavering commitment, passion, and vision for making Pennsylvania CASA the organization it is today.
Thank you, Kelly, for kicking off this incredible event, and thank you to everybody who's joining us today. I am so excited for you to hear from the CASA supporters, those whose lives have been impacted by the life-changing work of CASA, and from the CASA volunteers themselves. Research shows that it takes only one caring adult to alter the course of a child's life. For abused and neglected children, that person is often their CASA volunteer. Through individual advocacy, CASA volunteers promote the health, safety, and well-being for this extremely vulnerable population. Children assigned a CASA volunteer are substantially less likely to spend time in long-term care, and they're less likely to re-enter the foster care system once their case has been closed. Fewer than 1% of children assigned a CASA volunteer re-entered the system once their case was closed in Pennsylvania in 2018. That's compared to 24% of the general foster care population re-entering. Simply put, CASA volunteers find permanency, and societal costs are reduced or minimized. CASA volunteers have become even more essential during the COVID-19 pandemic. While people struggled to get eyes on children, CASA volunteers got creative. They visited over fence posts, from the safety of driveways and through glass doors. As long-distance learning environments continue to diminish the ability of mandated reporters to get eyes on vulnerable kids, CASA volunteers continue to be a vital part of the child welfare team. Our objective with this town hall is to continue to raise awareness about CASA so that we can increase the number of counties with CASA programs from 27 to all 67 counties in the Commonwealth. In order to do that, we need your help. Please share the stories that you hear today with your friends, your family, coworkers, and neighbors so that one day soon we can have a dedicated volunteer with a caseload of one available to every abused and neglected child in Pennsylvania. The speakers you will be hearing from today all have an important message to share. We are honored to have Pennsylvania's Governor, Tom Wolf, kick off the CASA Across the Commonwealth virtual town hall event. So let's get started.
Hi, I'm Governor Tom Wolf. It's my pleasure to join you to uplift and honor the important work done by the court-appointed special advocates, also known as CASA. CASA's mission is to ensure the safety and well-being of every abused or neglected child in Pennsylvania. CASA volunteers change the lives of children in need. They support those children who are most vulnerable, those affected by the opioid crisis, living with incarcerated parents, being targeted for sex trafficking, or who are about to age out of the foster care system. CASA volunteers are screened and highly trained. Then they're appointed by a judge to advocate for a child's best interests in court. Today, CASA volunteers serve more than 2,000 children in 27 counties in Pennsylvania. But there are more than 20,000 children eligible for CASA services in the Commonwealth. And our goal is to expand CASA's volunteer network to ensure that children in all 67 counties in Pennsylvania have access to the support they deserve. To spread the word, please share the heartfelt stories you hear today with your family, your friends, and neighbors. Then I invite you to consider volunteering with CASA. Your work as a volunteer will change lives for children in your community. Thank you.
Libre is a famous dog. Like the children we deal with in dependency court, Libre himself was abused and neglected. But there was quite an outpouring of outrage and support for this young pup. You may have heard of Libre's Law. That is named after him. What amazes me, he now is in a happy home, in my home. It was my daughter that rescued him. What amazes me is the outpouring and outrage that there was over this dog being abused and neglected. We don't see near that with the abuse and neglect of children. And that's got to change. So Libre's here to say that kids matter too.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you, buddy? Oh, yeah.
Greetings from the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and the residents of the 108th Legislative District. I am honored to be a part of CASA Across the Commonwealth virtual town hall. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a strong believer and supporter of early childhood education. Early learning lays the groundwork and the foundation for future successes. Early learning is where children do the most growing physically, emotionally, socially, and they learn those soft skills that employers are looking for and build strong communities. Unfortunately, too many children fall to abuse and neglect, both within their own homes and in our communities. It is this abuse and neglect that begins to make cracks and fissures in the foundation of those successes. These traumas that children experience both during the neglect and abuse and the aftermath, being in the court systems, transitioning from schools and to foster homes, these children go through transition after transition after transition. These children deserve stability, they deserve protection, they deserve to have someone by their side. They need someone to speak up for them and someone to advocate for their best interest. And this is what CASA does the best. Children deserve a safe, secure environment so they can thrive, grow, and learn. Thank you to everyone at CASA for what you do. Thank you to the organization. Thank you to your generous supporters. And most of all, thank you for your volunteers for giving your time, energy, and your heart for the future of our children.
Hi, my name is Rashida Rahman, and I became a CASA in September 2020. I've been appointed by the court to advocate for a child in Berks County. I wanted to become a CASA because back when I was younger, I had a CASA, and she had a very positive impact on my life. She was one of the few constants that I had, and she inspired me to be a better person and that I could get out of the situation that I was in through education. I hope to inspire another child the same way that my CASA inspired me.
Hello, I'm State Senator Judy Schwank. I'm here to talk to you about what CASA means to the children of Berks County. By now, you've learned that CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. I find it all too fitting that CASA in Spanish means home. Could there be a better name for an organization that helps children find suitable homes where they can be happy and safe? I don't think so. Every child needs an advocate, someone who is looking out for his or her best interest. We have more than 700 children caught in our legal system through no fault of their own, who need reliable adults to ensure they are properly cared for. CASA volunteers are the voices, guides, and steady support these children need to make sure their legal cases are properly handled and that they are not lost in the foster care system. I wholeheartedly support this cause and work to advocate on behalf of children whenever I can. That's why I'm happy to share some news with you. As I am sure you are all aware, there have been some horrific incidents of abuse of children in foster care or who have been adopted. We don't need to go over specific details, but you should know that legislators in Harrisburg have been paying attention. We know that Pennsylvania needs to investigate our foster care and adoption system. In that vein, legislation is being introduced to engage all branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, to provide recommendations on improving the care and protection of children. The legislation, SB 297, is called the Interbranch Commission on Foster Care and Adoption Act. It's quite an undertaking, but my colleagues in Harrisburg are serious about fixing these problems and protecting our children. If it passes, this bill will create a commission which will examine the child welfare system regarding foster care and adoption. The commission will have subpoena powers and will eventually provide recommendations on how to fix the system. If we get to that point, I hope that the recommendations will help CASA volunteers. You play such an important role in children's lives. In 2019, 39 CASA volunteers advocated for 80 children in Berks County. The CASA program grew 14% from the prior year, but there's still more children who need CASA volunteers. There are more than 600 children in Berks County eligible for a CASA volunteer. Will you step up? Dedicated CASA volunteers make sure no child ever feels alone, and that is a special thing. Having someone to explain what is going on with their cases, or just asking how their day at school was, that makes a world of difference in the life of a child who might feel alone or forgotten. Being removed from your home and placed in foster care can be seriously damaging to any child. Having a CASA volunteer by their side can literally be life-changing. I cannot thank our current CASA volunteers enough for what they do every day, and I cannot stress enough that more volunteers are needed to continue this advocacy. Children are our future, and ensuring they grow up in stable environments sets them on paths to become productive members of society. Let us all work toward making sure every child in Berks and Pennsylvania who needs an advocate has an advocate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tyler Webb, and I'm a CASA volunteer in Greene County, Pennsylvania. I've been a volunteer now for a year and a half, and this experience has truly been one of the most impactful of my life. One of the things that I really enjoy about being a CASA volunteer is getting to work alongside children and their families to help advocate for the child and the child's needs. It has been such a blessing to be able to watch a child grow not only physically but emotionally and in maturity in my time of working with them. One of the things that I have found to be most rewarding about being a CASA is learning patience and empathy and understanding for everyone's story. Everyone's story is so unique, and I think doing this experience has taught me that it is so important for us as individuals to get to know somebody's story, and not just get to know it, but be a part of it and walk alongside them as they continue to grow. And I don't think there's any better way to do that than being a CASA volunteer. If you have any interest in joining us, I would highly encourage you to do it. I promise you it'll be an experience that you will cherish and one where you will grow. You'll be challenged along the way, but I really do think it's a rewarding experience, and I hope that you'll join us as a part of the CASA movement.
Hi, my name is Dan Jorman, and I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Advocacy and Reform. Our office was created by Governor Tom Wolf through an executive order with a focus on better protecting and serving vulnerable populations all across Pennsylvania. My career has been focused on vulnerable populations for over 30 years and started with working with at-risk youth, specifically youth who were living below the poverty line. For that reason, I am so grateful for the work that CASA does for youth all across Pennsylvania every day, connecting people with a heart to serve and a heart for children, with children who desperately need an advocate, someone to stand up for them, to give them a voice, to help guide them, to help change a child's story. We're grateful for the partnership that the Office of Advocacy and Reform has with CASA, and we're looking forward in the days ahead to doing everything we can to make sure that this work is expanded across the Commonwealth to reach more children. If you're not involved in CASA already, we urge you to get involved, to volunteer, to find out what you can do. Because everyday, ordinary people can make a huge difference in the life and future of a child. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Philomena Hansen. I've been a CASA volunteer for 1.5 years. I am appointed by the court to advocate for a child in Westmoreland County. The reason why I chose to be a CASA volunteer is because I do believe in the mission of CASA. I believe that the children are our future, and if there's anything I can do to help improve the life of a child, I will definitely do that. Being a CASA volunteer has provided me the opportunities to really get to know how our Westmoreland County family court system works, all the hardworking people and the positive things they do. And I've gotten to know the children involved and all the caregivers. I've gotten to know them very well too. And I really get to see how they handle all the challenges that are presented with the children. And everybody does work really, really hard to have a really good ending for that child. And I'm really glad that I can actually be part of that. I really look forward to my visits, and I really get to know the child real well, and the child gets to know me too. And it's really a good feeling to see how excited the child gets when I do come for a visit, and to see how they're very eager to tell me all the good things that they're doing. And I do think that this is much better for our community. Our communities need to have children that are in a healthy, nurturing environment so that they can thrive and become really good, responsible adults, and they can contribute to our society. So I believe that the overall mission helps our communities everywhere.
Hi, I'm Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro, and I'm happy to be here to be able to talk about the vital work that CASA does all across our great Commonwealth. You know, a crucial part of our justice system is that CASA helps kids get on and stay on the right path. And when CASA volunteers stand up and advocate for Pennsylvania children, they help give a voice to the voiceless. You know, here in the Office of Attorney General, protecting children is our top priority. I've seen firsthand the difference that mandated reporters can make in the lives of children. And now, because of COVID-19, sadly, mandated reporters aren't seeing children with the regularity they were before. And as a result, tips coming from those mandated reporters are down. But sadly, children are still at risk. As we confront this public health crisis, we can't forget that some of the victims aren't in the hospital with COVID-19, but they are in their homes, cowering from the anger and rage coming from the abusers in their lives that they cannot escape. You know, Senator Casey and I have called on Congress to provide additional funding for services like at-home visits to go and check up on these kids who are in vulnerable situations. Hopefully Congress will make good on that need for our kids. And of course, many of you know of the work that we've done to try and help bring children, and in some cases now adults, out of the shadows and speak openly about their abuse at the hands of predator priests, and know that the chief law enforcement agency in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will have their backs. Well, I want to just thank organizations like CASA, and of course, all of you, the volunteers that make up CASA, for your work to find ways to stay connected to children in our communities, shoring up a safety net that has been weakened by this pandemic, and letting these children know that you care deeply about them and their future. My office, like you, believes and supports survivors. We will always be here for those who come to us and share their truth. The work that you do at CASA complements the work we're doing in the Office of Attorney General, and most importantly, stands up for the needs of children in our community. I thank you, I salute you, and I appreciate you, as do thousands of children across this great Commonwealth. Continue to do the good work you're doing, and stay safe. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kissinger. I'm a court-appointed special advocate in Berks County, Pennsylvania. I'm new to being a CASA as I was just sworn in about a month ago, but I already have my first CASA case and was able to meet my CASA kid 2 weeks ago in her foster home. During that visit, I was able to interact with her foster mother, of course her, and her older foster brother who's been in the home for about a year. Also there during the visit was her foster care service provider, services coordinator, who I had talked to on the phone and emailed, but we hadn't met in person yet. So we were able to work together on behalf of my CASA kid and get some important things done for her during our time together that afternoon. Because schooling is virtual in the era of COVID, my CASA kid needed help getting her school-issued laptop up and running and getting her logins sorted out, which we needed multiple rounds with technical support to make that happen. Once we were logged on, she needed a lot of help figuring out how to navigate her virtual learning platform. And I was able to get in touch with her guidance counselor, who was able to activate all of her teachers to alert them to the fact that they had an English as a second language student coming on board and may need some extra supports from the support staff to help her onboarding as a new student go smoothly. So I was really grateful to be able to do that for her. Since meeting her, I've also been engaged with her county caseworker and other folks who provide services to her to get a feel for what her short and long-term needs are as she's a junior in high school, and hopefully we will see her through to graduation and be able to form a plan for her beyond that as she starts her young adult life coming out of foster care. I'm very excited to lend a hand to other kids who are in the position of being separated from their families for whatever reason, to be sure that they get the right supports, enrichment, caring relationships around them to help them overcome the challenges that come from that kind of a chaotic or disrupted or traumatic childhood. So if you have a heart for kids, maybe you'll consider becoming a CASA, and you too can change a child's story. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Teresa Miller, and I have the privilege of serving as the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. It's a pleasure to be joining you virtually for this virtual town hall as we acknowledge the important work that CASA does across the Commonwealth. I want to start by thanking each and every one of the CASA volunteers whose work helps protect Pennsylvania's most vulnerable children. You help to ensure the safety and improve the outcomes of countless children, and I'm extremely grateful for the work that you do. But it's important that you're working in a system that's also supporting the work that you do. DHS's Office of Children, Youth, and Families supervises the county-administered child welfare programs throughout Pennsylvania. County children and youth departments and CASA volunteers collaborate to protect vulnerable children. We know that CASA volunteers are often meeting their clients on their worst days. Judges are more likely to assign CASA volunteers to their most complex, serious cases, cases in which children are at a higher risk of poor outcomes. Or maybe the family faces a mental health or substance use disorder. So when a CASA volunteer is assigned to an abused or neglected child, that child gains a feeling of support and hopefully sees a vision for a better future or a way out of a dangerous situation and new opportunities regardless of a child's circumstances. CASA volunteers spend a large amount of their time in direct contact with the children they represent. They're often the one constant in an otherwise chaotic life of a child who's been abused or neglected. They ensure that everyone is treated equally, regardless of race, color, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, religion, and other differences. CASA volunteers help to assure the child receives the equal treatment they're entitled to by acquiring cultural knowledge and managing the dynamics of difference. They work to support families and make sure that they have the services and resources they need to improve their outcomes. The work that CASA volunteers do is critical. So once again, I want to thank each and every CASA volunteer for the work that they do. DHS will be here to support you. Child welfare is a collective effort, and DHS, by working with CASA, is going to ensure that children are kept safe throughout Pennsylvania. So I want you to encourage your friends, your family, your neighbors to reach out and become a CASA volunteer. We can't do it without you.
Hi, my name is Heather Phillips, and I have been a CASA volunteer for the past 4.5 years. I am appointed by the courts to advocate for children in the Berks County area. The choice for me to become a CASA volunteer is simple. I believe that every child deserves to have a safe, loving, permanent place to call home, and that every child deserves their voice to be heard. My journey in being a volunteer CASA began in March of 2016 after I received my first CASA case appointment. After 1,066 days in the foster care system, I had the privilege of attending the adoption finalization hearing for these children. Throughout these 1,066 days as a CASA volunteer, I not only was able to advocate and to be their voice when it came to their education, medical, and social needs, but I was also able to be that consistent person in their life. Being a CASA volunteer is the most rewarding experience I have ever had. I enjoy being a CASA volunteer, and I look forward to what comes down the road.
Hi. Change a child's life. My name is Eddie Breggy, and I'm a CASA volunteer for McKean County. I was appointed about a year ago, and one of the reasons I became a CASA volunteer was because I wanted to hopefully change a child's life. I have been immensely happy about my time here as a CASA in the last year. I've been very fortunate to be able to have had one child and to feel as if I'm making a difference. It has been my pleasure to work with this one individual and to be able to see how it has affected him. It has been a great experience to know that I am advocating in this child's best interest. I have seen the difference in understanding that I am really helping within the court system. I have seen how CYS, his guardian ad litem, and the judge really listens to what our CASAs have to say. And it's refreshing to know, and scary to know that our work is very important. I truly am grateful to the CASA organization for all the work that they do. And I know that we need you. We need you to join us. We are the CASA movement. We are just normal people just like you. We are working individuals. We are out there on the front lines, and we need you here in the state of Pennsylvania. And we look forward to having you out there helping us. And we want you to join us here and to really spread the word out there that CASAs are important. So I thank you very much for taking the time to listen to just my little story. And I really hope and really, really, really get out there and help us with CASA. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Art McNulty, and I'm a court-appointed special advocate working with the Court of Common Pleas for Cumberland County. I currently have the honor and the privilege of working with a 15-year-old teenager. I've been with him for about 2.5 years. It'll be 3 in January. I've certainly enjoyed my time with him. It's been great to watch him grow and mature and become a better person with each and every day. He and I get along terrifically, even though he's a Steelers fan and I'm an Eagles fan. People sometimes say to me, "Hey Art, why are you doing CASA? Isn't that a lot of work?" It is so rewarding, and I have enjoyed my time with him and on behalf of the court so very much. I really believe I've made a difference in his life, a positive difference. I also have the pleasure of being a member of the State Board of Court-Appointed Special Advocates. In that role, I've gotten to obtain a global view of the program and how it operates. I can tell you that there is a substantial need for volunteers, and I certainly hope that you will consider taking on that role. Indeed, we have about 18,000 kids who are eligible for CASA, but don't currently have one. So that would be a hole that we could all fill by putting in some time and energy on behalf of the program and on behalf of the most needy children in the Commonwealth. Thanks so much for your time, and I wish that you'll join us soon.
Hello, my name is Kim Berkeley Clark. I have been a judge in Allegheny County since 1999, and I have served as the supervising judge of juvenile court, the administrative judge of our family division, and I currently serve as the president judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Allegheny County. In 2017, I received the William H. Rehnquist Award for Judicial Excellence from the National Center for State Courts for my work in transforming the way children and families who enter the court system are treated by creating a trauma-informed courtroom. CASA has been an integral part of the creation and development of my trauma-informed courtroom. Trauma-informed interventions are critical for abused and neglected children who enter the dependency court and child welfare system. In addition to the trauma associated with their removal and placement or their adjudication of dependency, many of our children and families have experienced multiple traumatic events in their lifetimes. Interventions can happen for children in many different ways, including through the advocacy of a well-trained, dedicated CASA volunteer. A critical part of the volunteer training for CASA is education around the effects of trauma and an understanding of trauma-informed care. This education and this understanding can lead to amazing advocacy work. A dedicated CASA volunteer can also help children find and stay in permanent homes, thus preventing the trauma of subsequent removals. In Allegheny County in 2018, less than 2% of children assigned a CASA volunteer re-entered the foster care system as compared to 22% of the general population of children in foster care. Pennsylvania needs a diverse and committed group of concerned citizens to become advocates for our state's most vulnerable and often forgotten citizens. We must dedicate ourselves to expand CASA to underserved and unserved counties where a diverse and committed group of concerned citizens can become advocates for our children. In the words of a 13-year-old child from Allegheny County who had a CASA volunteer, "Without my CASA, I might not have the great life I have today. At first, I didn't know how important she is, but now that I'm older, I understand how valuable she's been to me. There's like 1 million kids out there, and she picked us to help." So I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt thanks to the 1,169 CASA volunteers working in 27 counties across Pennsylvania who work tirelessly to change a child's story. So thank you and congratulations.
My name is Janelle Kayla Crossley, and I would like to tell my story of my involvement with CASA. It all began a day at the Amani Festival in Carlisle, PA, as I personally had a booth at the festival a few spaces from the CASA booth. As an advocate for gender identity in Central PA, my booth was dedicated to bringing visibility, awareness, and education to society on gender-related issues. In thinking about my advocacy and working with children, youth, and adolescents on behaviors within the gender spectrum, I had decided to talk with CASA volunteers at their booth and see if there's any way I can help and make a difference. To my surprise, there was. I signed up for the CASA training program and began my quest to help abused and neglected children and to be the voice. Unfortunately, I was unable to complete the training due to my full-time job and had to drop out, but I could not leave this wonderful organization completely. I had an awesome thought of which I knew could greatly help CASA in another way, and that was to become a liaison for CASA on gender identity issues, through training of CASA staff on signs of gender identity and how to begin interacting with the child and parents with or without my assistance. The training went very well, and in the training I explained that a lot of the behaviors, neglect, and abuse they experience in our children could very well be due to gender issues with the child, parent, and or other family members. Gender identity is often a hidden identity in humans and is often acted out in ways that are not utterly understood by most. My goal with CASA was to teach them the signs, identity factors, and actions displayed by children and adults suffering from any identity crisis. CASA assigned me, in conjunction with the CASA volunteer, a few cases involving children with gender identity-related issues, saying some were settled and few are ongoing. But I believe we will succeed in helping these children and adults through hard work, education, and most important, listening. In the past year or so, CASA appointed me a seat on the advisory committee, and I vow to serve CASA families and the children to the best of my ability and to uphold the CASA statement, be the voice. Thank you, CASA, for this awesome opportunity, and I look forward to serving and working together even more in the upcoming days, weeks, and months ahead.
Hi, I'm State Senator Pat Stefano. I'm here to talk to you about CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Nationally, there are 97,000 volunteers that work with children in court cases. The children that we tend to forget about in these cases of whether their parents are incarcerated or they're in cases of neglect or abuse. These 97,000 volunteers work with over 250,000 children. And these children, when working with these special court advocates, are placed back into a home so much quicker. They help coordinate with counselors, with the attorneys, and coordinate the entire cases and take the children's welfare into account. What's great also is Westmoreland County is working with me and with Judge Cordero to bring CASA into Fayette County, my home county, to address the children's needs there. So I'll be working with the committees in Harrisburg to make sure attention is focused on these wonderful volunteers and the work they do for our children.
Thank you, Senator Stefano. As this event has demonstrated, there are countless heroes advocating for the needs of children in Pennsylvania. It is our honor today to lift up the voices of our CASA volunteers who every day are providing best interest advocacy for children who have been abused and neglected. Today in Pennsylvania, there are 1,169 CASA volunteers advocating for 2,129 children in the dependency system. After watching this event, you can see that CASA volunteers are extraordinary people who make a world of difference in the lives of children they serve. None do it for the accolades or for the recognition. It is likely they will never see the genuine impact that they have had on the children that they serve. This event could not have been possible without the help of Martin Communication in Shiremanstown, Pennsylvania. They helped us pull together every aspect of this event to ensure that we were able to achieve our goals of promoting the CASA program and recruiting volunteers. We also wish to thank the staff at Illinois CASA who helped us recognize the exponential impact that an event like this could have. And finally, without the staff, board, and other members of the Pennsylvania CASA team, this event could never have happened. To conclude this event, I want to talk a little bit about CASA's impact nationwide. CASA is a nationwide movement. Inspiration came from a Seattle juvenile court judge, David Sukup, in 1976. At that time, he had insufficient information to make a life-altering decision for a 3-year-old child who was the victim of abuse and was before him in court. Judge Sukup's idea has grown into 948 state and local programs with 96,000 volunteers and who serve 276,000 children across the country. In the conclusion of today's event, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Tara Perry, the CEO of the National CASA GAL Association. It is our honor to have her join us to highlight the work that CASA volunteers are doing here in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Tara.
I'm proud to share my support for Pennsylvania CASA and the 21 local CASA programs in Pennsylvania serving children who have experienced abuse or neglect, and families involved in the child welfare system. Pennsylvania CASA has a plan to ensure that every child in the state that needs CASA service can get it. They have increased the number of local programs in the state, which has allowed 16% more children to be served since 2017. In addition to the work done at the state and local program level, there are hundreds of CASA volunteers trained to provide court-appointed advocacy to ensure that these children are safe, have a permanent home, and the opportunity to thrive in life. In many cases, these volunteers are the only constant in an otherwise chaotic life for these children. We've heard many children say, if it were not for my CASA volunteer, I don't know where I would be. With all the great work being done in Pennsylvania, there's still more work to do. There's still a need for additional CASA volunteers. So I encourage anyone interested in volunteering to reach out to Pennsylvania CASA or the local CASA program in your community. It's a volunteer experience like no other, and it's life-changing for children and families. And in some cases, it can even be life-changing for the volunteer. Thank you to the program staff and the many volunteers already doing this important work in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful for what you are doing to improve the lives of children and their families in your state.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Mercereau, and I recently completed my training to become a CASA volunteer. I'm excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. I'm hoping that I can change a child's life the way mine was changed as a child by people around me. I first became interested in this program when I shadowed with my daughter in a Lackawanna County court for a career day. I was fascinated to see how everybody band together for the betterment of the child involved. And I look forward to being that person that can hopefully help everybody get this child to where they need to be in the future. I'm very grateful for the people along the way that have trained me and have taken the time to ask questions about things that I've never experienced or couldn't understand. My thought process on how people should live their lives certainly has changed through my training. I'm sad to admit that in the past I've been judgmental on decisions people have made, but my CASA training has allowed me the opportunity to figure out why these decisions are made. And hopefully I can help parents change how they live and how they treat their kids in the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Krista, and I've been a CASA volunteer for 7 years. I'm appointed by the court to advocate for a child in Berks County. I volunteer as a CASA because I believe in giving a voice to children. Having been a kindergarten teacher for more than 30 years, I see firsthand how crucial it is for children to receive services as early as possible. There's not a day to waste. Every bit of help counts, and the sooner the better. I see it every day in my classroom. Children deserve to have someone who will speak for them for the long haul. Caseworkers and counselors and others on a child's case come and go, but a CASA is there every day. A CASA makes a world of difference.
I was involved in bringing CASA, or helping to bring CASA to this county. I've been amazed by the outpouring of support from everyday people to volunteer and put in the time and put in the effort to be a voice for the children. I heartily support the CASA concept, the CASA program, and the CASA volunteers that have worked here in Cumberland County. I've sworn in dozens and dozens of volunteers, and I've told every one of them that I can promise you two things. One, that your heart will be broken, and two, that your voice will be heard. And without fail, those promises have come true in each and every case.
Thanks to each and everyone who joined us today. Together we can change a child's story. Finally, thank you to today's presenters who donated their time to speak up for PA CASA and abused and neglected children across the Commonwealth. Thank you.